The key to improving your art skills is by practicing the fundamentals, which is something that's been said multiple times, and there's so many YouTube videos discussing this subject. So I'll be brief. Let's grab our thinking caps and start the lesson. So we all know our fundamentals is shape, form, perspective, color, and so many things. And most people will say that boxes should be the very first thing to master. But honestly, I think line control and line confidence should take that crown. Let me explain. Learning and practicing how to draw lines with confidence and with my whole arm has been a game changer. Because what is drawing except a bunch of lines put together to create art? There are some art styles that incorporate the messy chicken scratches, but in those cases it is used purposefully. Other than that, it can leave your art looking messy and disoriented. The next fundamental or skill I think that should be talked about more is observation. Unfortunately, to develop this skill, you're gonna have to go outside or at least leave your room. I know it sucks, but observing life and form is critical to improving. Basically, what I did was I would look at my subject and simply break it down into the simple shapes that make up the object. I would observe how and where the light hit the subject, cast shadows, bounce light, and the colors. And if and even if you can barely draw a cube, I'm telling you right now, just thinking about this stuff preemptively will be beneficial. Let me tell you, I have never ever painted or colored human skin before. And when I was still in school, I had an art project where I had to paint a portrait. And basically, I just like looked at my portrait. So I looked at the photograph, the reference for so long. And then when I finally put the paint on the paper, it turned out way better than I would have imagined. Especially when I compare it to my very first time painting a portrait to the art project I did, so much improvement. Because this skill is kind of very nuanced and it takes time to learn how to like observe properly, I'm gonna link videos that helped me develop the skill. And finally, we can get to the fundamentals that most people know. Like I said, the shapes, form, perspective, and all those things, which leads me to DrawABox. If you're an artist on the internet, it's probably not your first time hearing about DrawABox. But just in case, what is DrawABox? DrawABox is a free online art course. There is a paid version, but you don't have to pay to have access to the lessons. DrawABox gives a more structured way to practice and learn fundamentals. It has a total of 7 lessons divided into 2 parts. Part 1 goes through the fundamentals like line control, shapes, and 3D forms. Honestly, you can just do part 1 and forget about part 2, but anyone can learn to draw a cube on a cylinder, but not everyone will know how to put these shapes together to create an image. Which is why I think part 2 is important. Part 2 is the construction and the lessons to how to put these shapes together to create your subjects, whether that be an animal, vehicle, or a plant. Before you exit this video to search up DrawABox, that's right, I see you. Close that tab right now. There are things I think you should know before you start. To get the full benefit of DrawABox, you need to be drawing for fun as well. Emphasis on need. The only way to grow any skill is to be consistent and to practice. Same goes for art, which is a skill. Of course, there are more rules and information about DrawABox, so I'll link some resources in the description if you're interested and want to know more. This isn't my first time doing DrawABox. I have started and given up like around 4 to 5 times now, and DrawABox is not an easy program to do. I feel like the number one reason people tend to quit is because it gets boring really fast. It's like one of those situations where you love to read, and once you have to read for class, it feels like torture. That was what DrawABox felt like to me. I wasn't following the drawing for fun rule, and the only time I drew was when I was working on DrawABox, which naturally wasn't making art fun for me. My brain automatically associated drawing with the same feeling and emotion related to doing homework because I view DrawABox like homework. It is really about your mindset and how you approach this course. Another factor is that I was trying to do the course while in school, And some people make it work, that's fine. But I have terrible time management skills. I am the type of person that cruises through my responsibilities and, like, in other words, I procrastinate like hell. So I was trying to do my schoolwork, collab activities, and at the time I was doing many projects for my school. DrawABox was like the last thing on my mind. All these things combined was the reason I failed at DrawABox multiple times. And I'm one of the few people who like art class and having a teacher grade your artwork and give you advice because that just simply works for me. I suck at practicing when I have, or sorry, I suck at practicing when I don't have a rigorous, planned out program for me. So in theory, DrawABox should be perfect. So why am I doing DrawABox again? Because I want to improve my art. I want to take my art from looking like this to this. I won't say that I have no skill when it comes to drawing, but I want to develop them further and I want to continue growing. And like I said, I'm one of the few people who like having a teacher like looking over my shoulder and having like a plan or a lesson planned out for me. So DrawABox should work for me and it does and it has. Even though I failed to complete it, the lessons I've taken away from DrawABox from my previous failed attempts I still use to this day. My line confidence has increased by a lot, and I'm not scared to use pen or ink on paper. I barely made it past the first few lessons, and I've already gotten a better grasp on shape, form, and perspective. So when I say Dropbox has helped me, I really mean it. I've already started doing the lessons again, which leads me perfectly into my next point. Let me tell you right now, as a professional procrastinator, motivation will not take you anywhere for long. Okay, motivation is like being a highway hitchhiker and you're sticking your thumb out and you're like watching the cars drive right past you and you're gonna be there for a really long time before someone finally picks you up. And in this scenario, motivation are the cars, okay? They're not gonna come pick you up all the time and motivation will not come to you all the time. So the best way to go about this is to have a plan. It's like planning a road trip. You're gonna have your map, you're gonna have your GPS, and you're probably gonna stop at pit stops or gas stations when you need them. But before you even go on the road trip, you need to know why you're going on a road trip in the first place. Okay? Like, why do you want to improve your art and why are you even doing art? If your answer is art is just a hobby, that is amazing and that is all it can be. Like, you don't need anything deeper. But it might not take you further than someone who has the goal of being an animator or a concept artist or who wants to be a professional artist. But that's not all though. For me, I think it's best to really dig deep and find your reason. Example, I want to get good at art because I want to be an animator. The reason I want to be an animator is because I grew up watching amazing cartoons and animes that inspired me to think big and have strong aspirations for the future. And I hope to one day animate shows that will inspire a generation of kids. You don't necessarily have to do this. Simple answers work fine, but for some reason, people like me, I need to have a good reason that will remind me why I'm even doing this in the first place and to help me push myself on the days I don't feel like practicing my art or I don't feel like drawing. If you also want to find a deep answer like this, what you need to do is to become an annoying toddler and ask yourself why over and over again until you find the answer that satisfies you. I feel like this practice is best done when you have someone like a partner or a friend who can keep pushing, who can keep asking you why. But if you're a lonely person like me and you have no friends, you can do it by writing. There are so many tips and tricks I can share to create goals that can work and to have a plan. But in the moment of filming this, I am so tired. So let's get to the last point. The reason this channel exists, and you would know this if you watched my very first terribly rushed video, is to practice art. Like I said, I'm a beginner trying to improve and I want to help others because I too know how hard it can be. Something I say a lot is that art is a solitary sport, and don't go into the comments saying, well, art isn't a sport. I know, it's a figure of speech. You don't really often see artists together outside of a class or an art designated space. And community is so important if you want to improve because you have people who are also interested in what you're doing and who are willing to help you and support you. This is why I feel like the internet can be an amazing place because we can see these communities pop up and support each other. And it's so important to have a community because they can hold you uh, accountable. And even if I have zero people watching any of my videos, I'm still gonna post to hold myself accountable and to hold you, yes, you accountable too. So if you're interested in doing DrawABox with me and creating a community of aspiring artists, whether you want to be an animator, concept artist, or even a simple hobbyist, feel free to join me. I'll be posting what I do for the DrawABox homework and other art-based content. Also, I'll just be posting about things that inspire me. So, yeah.